what are the side effects? Not too much. If you feel like suicidal or something, just give me a call.
Welcome back to the TRT and Hormone Optimization YouTube channel. And we have a new guest today, Nico Misleh. Welcome, Nico.
Thank you, Stephen. It's a pleasure to be here.
Nice to have you. So maybe let's start by introducing yourself.
Absolutely. So again, my name is Nico Misleh. I am a family nurse practitioner by trade. I live in Cincinnati, Ohio, over here in the United States. And I've got a couple different roles. I'm a clinic owner. So I own Apollo Health Optimization, where we treat men and women for hormone replacement therapy. And then I also own and operate a new education platform called HRT University. Which is really exciting. We actually are going to be launching, I don't know when this will air, but we'll be launching that course officially at the end of April of this year. Again, training providers from all walks of life, nurse practitioners, physicians, whoever they may be, in doing hormone replacement therapy. So we're looking at it as like a really comprehensive product, again, both from the male and female side of things, talking even about thyroid and some of the adjunct hormones, oxytocin, melatonin, things like that. So we're really excited about that. And again, perfect timing. I appreciate you having me on so I could even discuss some of that stuff too.
Right, awesome. So you were introduced to me by our mutual friend, Justin Groche. He said you're well-versed in all kinds of functional medicine as well, in combination with TRT, HRT. So maybe let's start with mental health, because I have a lot of patients myself who are young men who are on antidepressants, and I often wonder if it wouldn't be better to get them on TRT. So probably, you experience the same thing.
Absolutely. And by the way, your channel, I think, is just so fantastic. It's such a good outlet. So many of my patients in the United States have seen your channel, have come to me just via your channel. I joke and say it's a gateway drug for a lot of my patients in the best way possible. So it's been really, I'm thankful for you. I started initially in the functional medicine world. It was probably almost 10 years ago now, and training even before that. I knew right away that I was never going to get into conventional medicine, so to speak. My grandfather's a retired physician, a wonderful guy. He gave up his license 4 years ago at 90 years old. He's just a student of medicine and is a constant learner. But he told me, Niko, never go into medicine. You'll hate it. It's miserable. He was kind of during, at least in the United States, during the era of insurance moving in, oxycodone and all the prescription pain pill clinics are on the rise. So I think, unfortunately, he had a very negative last, decade or so in medicine. But, I said, I love this stuff, and I know there's a better way to do it. So I started seeking out a lot of, physicians, nurse practitioners, whoever these people were in my local community doing some of the holistic and integrative medicine. And they were amazing. There were some of the best people I ever met doing some really wild stuff. I mean, so this is back in like the, maybe like 2010, 2011 era. I'm looking at people in hyperbaric oxygen chambers and things of that nature. And I just remember thinking, this is so cool. This is like a science fiction movie in real life. And watching patients really get amazing results. So again, I'm looking at this guy in a hyperbaric chamber for PTSD and concussion, and thinking, oh my God, like I've never even heard of these two, first of all, being a combination of a problem, and let alone something like this being a therapy. So it immediately got me interested in just that side of medicine, going into this cash-based system, kind of going against the whole big insurance stuff. And I knew right away that I really wanted to explore mental health a little bit more. And I know you know this, Stephen, so I'm probably preaching to the choir, but I think in medicine in general at large, psychiatry, I'm not trying to disparage them as a group, but it's one of the few areas of medicine where I think truly there's just practically zero objective data and values driving it. It's all mostly subjective. Maybe we have a PHQ-9 or some sort of, formula where we're concocting that you have major depression symptoms. But at the end of the day, we can't slice your brain open and see it. It's not a real strict pathology, right? And so I thought, this is so unacceptable. because if this was ever something that would happen in cardiology, first of all, no patient would take that doctor seriously, and no other medical provider would take that doctor seriously. And maybe to some degree, that's some of the stereotypes around psychiatry. But I thought there are objective things we can do in psychiatry. There's a fantastic, and again, I won't try to get too nerdy here. Her name's Dr. Joanna Moncrief. She might be in Oxford University, maybe. I know she's in England. Amazing PhD, MD, who's done fantastic amounts of research around depression and SSRIs. And in 2022, she put out a meta-analysis, more or less describing that serotonin as a neurotransmitter, there's really no evidence whatsoever that it has anything to do with major depression. Which of course, everybody's like, what are we going to do with that? We're not going to stop prescribing Zoloft and Paxil and all these major drugs. So, but it just kind of spoke more and more to this idea that, depression in general, anxiety, even things like bipolar disorder and schizophrenia, that there's no real hard science behind it in terms of the pathology. What we do know is that it appears a lot of these tend to be a culmination of problems, right? So think about you're not eating well, you're not sleeping well, maybe you have low testosterone, maybe you have some sort of primary hypogonadism or varicocele that's affecting you, and this is unknown. But there are objective things that we can do to attempt to try to discover some of those things. So, I've spoken, nationally now, which I'm really excited to be able to do this at different conferences and stuff, about how, I don't care who you are, if you're a primary care provider or if you're in psych itself, we should be doing these objective measures in tandem with obviously subjective measures as well, just like we would in any other area of medicine before we even consider moving into the world of psychotropics. And that, I think, may be more controversial, Stephen, but I don't even know if much of the psychotropics are necessary. And I think they produce more harm than good, especially in the long run.
Yeah. Do patients with depression consult you? Maybe they want to come off of their SSRIs. What do you do? Do you a hormonal examination?
Yeah. So I always told my patients, I'm not a psych provider or practitioner by trade. If your depression happens to get better by what we're doing, fantastic. So I really became known for helping people suffering from major depression. Perhaps they were told that they should attempt to utilize an SSRI or an antidepressant of some sort, and maybe they felt uncomfortable about that. There was something about it that just seemed fishy. Maybe they've been on it for 10 years and their libido is terrible. Their erectile dysfunction is unbelievable. And they're, certainly not feeling all that much better. Mm-hmm. These patients would come to me and I would educate them how I think, hey, maybe we should look at your testosterone and your thyroid numbers and all kinds of different things before we jump to that. If they were on an SSRI, I would educate them on again, Stephen, I'm not here to disparage psychotropics necessarily, but most patients aren't getting informed consent around those medications. I mean, and I get it. A lot of patients are coming to these physicians, nurse practitioners, whomever, in a really bad place, and they're being told, "Hey, this will work. Take the Zoloft. You'll feel fantastic." What are the side effects? Not too much. If you feel like suicidal or something, just give me a call. That is scary, but there are many more things besides just suicidal ideation. There's, again, metabolic syndrome risk increase, which obviously includes a weight gain increase for a lot of patients, decreased libido. The 6 major antidepressants or SSRIs in the modern healthcare industry right now, all of them, at least in vivo, it appears, decrease sex hormone steroidogenesis, or the production of sex hormones. So it's no wonder that a lot of people also are suffering from the low libido and stuff. But at the very least, I think it's important that those patients be given that amount of informed consent. So at least when they come see me, I tell them. I'm not here to say that potentially they can't improve some symptoms, but symptom improvement can be done in a variety of different ways. Anyway, sorry.
Yes, so you explain to them that they might be low in testosterone, and if you get them on TRT, they might be able to get off their antidepressants.
That's it. And again, it's obviously depression is multifactorial. If you're in a bad relationship with your wife or your husband, it doesn't mean that testosterone is magically going to fix that, or anything's going to magically fix that. But I think at the very least, and I think you've seen this, Stephen, with many of your patients, giving people testosterone. I always term it this way, and going back to Maslow, like hierarchy of needs, I think hormones are the one of the most foundational things leading to self-actualization at the top of that pyramid, right? You need to be able to eat and breathe and have a roof over your head. And I think hormones go even below, almost below breathing. Because without them, it is very difficult to be that best version of yourself. And it's clear. We see that in animal models. We see that in human studies and things of that nature. So I always educate around, look, we're going to start testosterone. As you continue to improve, meaning, Niko, my libido's a little bit better, and I'm waking up and I'm going for walks, or maybe I'm working out. Then we can start having a conversation around slowly but surely weaning off of that antidepressant or SSRI. And again, getting into a much better position so that when we actually come off of it, you're also not, relapsing essentially.